How's it going, guys? Welcome to a new video on Code Tech Tutorials. Today I want to talk about OpenShot Video Editor. This is a free editor that runs on pretty much any OS, and I use it occasionally and just wanted to go over it, make people aware of it. And apparently it sounds off. Alright, so this is their website. It's openshot.org. This is an open source project, so you can go find this on GitHub. I think it, do they even have a link somewhere? Maybe they do. Oh, it is on GitHub. You can just search it, I guess. GitHub OpenShot. You'll find it. There it is. So this is a program that you can go improve if you have issues with it. And don't worry, there are tons of issues. This needs a lot of work, but it is functional enough to actually use. So I've already downloaded it. I'm going to go ahead and launch it and just give you guys a walkthrough. I've used this quite a bit, so I know the majority of stuff you can do and can't do. And it's a little of both. Let me just search for it here. OpenShot. There we go. We're going to run it, and we'll go ahead and I'm just going to give you guys a bit of a rundown of what I found works great and what I found doesn't work hardly at all. So when you open it up, this is what you get. You get this interface. I'm using Windows here. If you're using like Linux or Mac, your experience may vary. I can't really speak for its functionality on those, but I can speak for its functionality on Windows. All right, so I'm kind of also going to go over everything you need to know to get a project going. So obviously you open it up, you get an untitled project. You got a little hotbar here, your usual stuff up here of menus. And you'll see your project files are here. You've got transitions, you've got effects. In my experience, these transitions and effects don't really work. So maybe it's better on Linux, maybe it's better on Mac. But on Windows, it basically just glitches out and does a bunch of weird stuff to your videos. So that sucks. But maybe they work better for some other people. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'll give it a try and we'll see if we can get them to work. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to bring in a video file. So you can do this with drag and drop, and then I'll just start going through stuff. Let me see. All right, whatever. We'll just do this one. This is some Magic the Gathering Arena video. Okay, so you bring in a track. You can move it around here. You get all the properties for whatever you have selected. Now the properties don't work like you think they do. First of all, they auto timeline or auto what's the word, keyframe. If you change something here, it just keyframes it based on like the start of the video to where you are now. So if I'm like messing with my video and I think, oh, I just want this track to be lower, and I lower this volume, that's not what it does. So that's really annoying. It's probably the most annoying thing. Like what this actually does is it lowers the volume from the start to here. So it goes full, as you can see the volume changing. It starts at 1. It keyframes it in wherever you press it. So super obnoxious. Does it with everything. You can sometimes barely use this editor because of that. It's just keyframing things when you don't expect it to. Anyway, that's my experience. So how do you get rid of that? I don't even know. I don't even know how to take off this keyframe. This editor is a mess, but at least it sort of works. There's probably an easy way to do it. I don't know how to do it exactly. I think you got to go to volume and reset volume, and that does it. But other than that, I don't know. So if you've keyframed a bunch, you can't just change them. You have to like reset them all. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's super obnoxious. Makes it really hard to work with. And it's like that with everything. You want to crop, you want to do any of this stuff, you're keyframing it all the time, and there's no other option apparently. So please correct me if I'm wrong, because that drives me nuts, and I can barely use this thing because of that. It's about the worst keyframing I've ever seen. So let me show you just a couple other things. I'm just going to kind of go over what I would usually do, and we'll go from there. So usually you want to see the waveform of your audio. That way you can kind of tell the quiet and loud parts of your video. And let's see. And also, of course, you can zoom in and out with this. It's really, 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 really slow. Like you want to zoom in, you click this, you wait. You click this, you wait. It's going kind of fast right now, but and you can see how long it's keyframing over there, or however long it's supposed to be showing you. So this seems to be going really fast right now, but yeah, once you've done a few things in your project, these buttons are now, they turn into like, I don't know, wait till you, I don't know. They just take forever. You click one, you go to their kitchen, get a drink, make some food, come back, hope it's done. Just changing the zoom. That's all it does. Okay. So naturally I'm going to rag on this program because it has annoyed me so much, but it does do some good things. There are some good things about this, and I will get to those. You just kind of have to know what is crappy, because if you just jump in and start using this, it's going to drive you nuts and you're going to uninstall it right away. So I'm thinking if I get all the annoying stuff out of the way, you at least know what to avoid or what to expect, and you can get actual use out of it. Okay, so let's show the waveform of this audio. Now this is yet another crappy thing, but at least it sort of works. So if you right click on your video, you can go to display waveform, and then you get this little hourglass thing and you wait. This takes, I don't even know how long. We could be here minutes, we could be here hours. This takes for friggin' ever. It doesn't matter how big or small your video is. Apparently whoever's programming this didn't take algorithms courses, because they picked the slowest algorithm ever to do this. So shame on you. Maybe you should improve it or something. I don't know. Or we could improve it. Like I said, this is open source, so I guess we can't really complain much, because it's like, you know, you can just go fix it. So I shouldn't be complaining. I should go fix it, except no, because it'll take me way too much time to do that. I don't even know where to look, where to start. But it is being updated. This will improve. Maybe me making this video will contribute to that a little bit, so at least the developer or developers know what is super annoying about this program and what needs to be fixed. So anyway, we go back here. We're still waiting. This will be a while. I guess I'm just going to sit here and do nothing until it's done, because I can't even go to the next part. So what do you guys think? You know, this will be a perfect time to like this video and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And yeah, craziness. I guess I can do other stuff. So usually when I'm editing video with this, I usually have something else open, and I'm doing something else, just because it takes so long to process anything that you literally can't sit here and wait. It just doesn't make sense. You might as well have something else to do in all this downtime of the crappy algorithms. We'll sigh. All right, so let's just maybe extend this out. Let's say it's actually working. Okay, so this is a 17-minute video. It's not a very heavy video. It's like half a gig, maybe. In 17-minute video, that's only half a gig. It's a pretty lightweight video. So here we are, waiting. I click show waveform, I wait. I'd love to show you more of this, but this is literally what it's like editing with this. You just have to wait a lot, and you just have to deal with its just complete awkwardness. But hey, oh, there it goes. It did it. Okay, so now you can see your waveform down there. Now it's really tricky to do something like change your audio level, because you got to make sure your little timeline thing here is at the very beginning of your video or before it, because like I said, when you change your this volume, it timelines it in wherever you are. So if you want to double the volume of everything, you got to go before the video starts and do it that way. It actually increases the volume throughout the whole thing. So sometimes this is handy. Say you got one part right here where you want to make quiet. You can, I actually don't know how to do this, because I feel like if I change it, it's going to take it from the beginning and change it to here. Yeah, it is, which I don't want. Say I just want one section to get quiet and then get loud again. That's really freaking hard, apparently. I guess I could go here to right. Yeah, I guess you got to do the end one first, because if I make this 2, it should then, you know, stay level 2 all throughout here. Then from here on, go down to 1, and then we could go from there. Maybe we wanted to go back up to 2. Then we got that sound change timeline in. It's a little awkward, a little different than most, but it does seem to function okay. Now, it doesn't always function okay. The audio, sometimes when you render, it comes through choppy and scratchy and really weird. So it's not very reliable, and especially if you're layering things. Okay, but it does, if you're doing very simple things, it usually does okay. So I will say that. And you know, I talked about Blender as a video editor, and Blender is a little bit more reliable, but this one sort of has a better play. Like when you hit play on Blender, the audio never synchronizes, right? And that's super annoying. But at least with this program, when you hit play, you're actually getting the audio that's at this part of the video. So it's a little easier to line up things. So that's nice, but still, it has its annoyances. All right, so let's go into a few other things. I want to talk a little bit about layering. So there are a few little handy things that come with this, like this title. You can go to title and click it, and you get some templates of just like little things you can drop into your video. These are a bit clunky sometimes. I said sometimes. Pretty much after you've added one, they start getting really slow. So say you like this design, you want to say hello there. Now, as you noticed, I already typed. It is still trying to process my typing. I don't know why it's so slow, but it just lags behind in this thing all the time, and it only gets worse as you continue on. And you see the file name here. Yeah, if you don't change this, your projects overwrite each other's files all the time. So if you go back to an old project, suddenly your titles are all weirdly changed, and it's because they overwrite each other, even from different projects. So that's like another just major epic fail on this. You can rename them to something unique so they don't overwrite each other, but you know, if you're not, then they're going to overwrite each other as you do more projects. You can change the font. I'm not sure if this actually works. Sometimes it seems to, sometimes it doesn't. It seems to work okay there. You can click this text to change the text color. It seems to work okay usually. This background, so by default they have it, I don't know, it shows it white, but it's not white, obviously. So I don't know what this actually does, or if it even works. But apparently now it's green. It was black before, even though I had it set to, it was defaulting to white. So I'm just flat out confused by how this works. So I think you got to bring it all the way. No, actually this would, okay, so this looks good, but it's actually not, because it will, I'll show you here. So if I drag this in now, which works decently well, and go to it, you'll see that it covers over top of all my video with this thing, when you don't want it to do that. So what you have to do is you can right click on this and go to, where is it, edit. And once you edit, you go to background color. You got to change this alpha to 0 for that background, and then you should be able to see through it and get it as expected. So these are a little wonky. They don't work quite as well as you would hope, but they do work. So it can help out. It can save you time in your project, and it's better than nothing. It's better than having to make it in a separate program. Now I think it uses a certain program to do these, to make these. So for example, if you want to do your own custom edits, you can do this advanced editor. So if I click this advanced editor, it's going to look for an install of Inkscape on my computer and launch Inkscape with this stuff. So this is kind of cool. It's not the worst thing. So there it goes. It just opened Inkscape. It's temp.svg. And if I change anything here and then hit save, it will reflect on here. So that's actually kind of a cool integration they do. I'm not an Inkscape master, but I'll just put in some random stars and hit save. And then I'll close Inkscape, and now you can see it just reflected in here. So that's actually a really nice feature. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. So when you hit save, it should save, and we can drop that in. And now we've got some more little random things going on. All right, so that's okay. Those, for the most part, those titles seem to work decently. Other than the overwriting issue, they're not too bad. So I guess you got to give them unique names if you really care about going back to the project. All right, so let's look at these animated titles. Now this is where just nonsense happens. Some of these work, some of them don't. So it's kind of a cool idea. They want you to be able to just easily make little animated titles and animated stuff, but the problem is most of these don't work very well. You do have to have Blender installed. It renders them with Blender, and it goes up to 180 frames on this one, for example. This is just some rotating thing where you give it a title and give some settings, and when you hit render, it finds your install of Blender and uses Blender to render this. So sometimes this works great, sometimes it doesn't work at all. Your results may vary. This one seems to be functioning, but I've tried some of the other ones, and some of the other ones just, they either crash or they just freeze. They get stuck on a frame and never continue any further. So these are kind of hit and miss, but when they do work, it's handy. It looks like this one's just chugging away now. So yeah, we'll let it do its thing. I really don't want to wait for this, but I highly doubt it's going to let me cancel. Oh, it did. Okay, amazing. So this is actually looking pretty good. I know I've complained a lot, but when you actually get into a real project, it usually gets really clunky really fast. Is the big problem. So say you want to make a cut right here, and the way you do that, good luck figuring it out. You basically have to right click on this head thing or press one of these hotkeys, and it doesn't cut what you have selected, it cuts what this line is intersecting. So it doesn't matter what you have selected when you do these cuts. If you have multiple things that it's over top of when you do it, which the snapping won't even let me do right here. Let's see, I guess I could drag out this edge and then I could probably do it. But if you right click, hit slice all, keep both sides with Control K, it's going to slice everything this line is going through. So now we got two of them, one over here, one over here. And then you can drag these edges. That seems to function okay. It does get a little clunky as you go on further in your project, but that's just a way of cutting things in. And we can zoom this back in and see what we're working with. Now, another thing that happens when you overlap things, it tries to auto fade, and sometimes this works great, sometimes it doesn't work hardly at all. So for example, if I grab this other file and just drag it over, it tries to snap to edges. Sometimes that's nice too. But when you overlap, it automatically puts a fade in there. And this fade is like a very specific fade. Let me see if you can even see it on the screen. I guess you can probably see it. Yeah, there it is. So it's starting to fade in the new one and it does its thing. Usually it does okay. The only problem is when you're doing these fades, the audio like makes this clicky sound. It's like, so it just messes up your audio anytime you do these fades. Well, not anytime. It seems to happen some of the time. So that's super annoying. And I have no clue how to get these transitions to work reliably. This auto fade that comes in seems to be okay, and it looks like you can do some stuff with it or just remove it. But say you want to put your own custom transition in there, like maybe you want it to do this bar ripple effect. Good luck. I don't know how to get this to work. Like the obvious thing to do would be to drag it over the thing here and think, okay, maybe that's going to work. But what ends up happening, let's see if it even works. Maybe it'll work this time. Let's see if it does the ripple thing. Yeah, this actually seems to be working. But usually what it does is it just makes your screen flicker back and forth between these two videos. And it just does this awkward like flicker thing with your video. So this seems to be working now, but I don't know. I've done projects before and had it all worked out how I liked it. And then when I rendered it, I got this awkward flickering thing going on. And it's like, what do you even do about that? And anytime you overlap something, it just auto puts a new fade in. So sometimes that gets a little annoying because it's like, I don't want it there. So you got to click it and delete it yet again. And then another thing is, how do you get this lined up properly when you want to use a custom one? You got to do this, and then you got to drag it out, and then it snaps to the wrong place. Like you see the snap on that side changed a little bit. So now it's not lined up, and who the heck knows what it's doing anymore. Let's see. Is it the right fade? I don't know. I think it is. I think this one's actually doing well. It's hard to tell on this particular video, but yeah. So these transitions, they're just a little hit and miss, but they're cool. Play around with them. You might as well see if you can get them to work right. It always snaps slightly off where you tried to snap it to, so that's really annoying because if you're trying to line things up perfectly, well, you just can't. It just doesn't let you. So that's been a painstaking thing. And now I don't know what it's doing here. Let's see. So if I go to here, to here, to here, I should be getting this little board transition. I guess it's happening. I can't really tell in this. You might be able to tell better with different types of video, but Okay, I know I really ragged on these transitions. At least they're here and it lets you play around with them, but you'll find out if you try it. They're just not that reliable. These effects, I don't know how to use these effects. I've tried, just weird stuff happens once again. You like, I guess you drag it in. I don't even know what you do. Okay, you drag it on top of a video and it looks like it just affects the whole video. So now I've turned this one into negative. There we go. Yeah, that actually works pretty well. So if I do another cut here, I'm just going to press Control K. I'll bring in pixelate on this one. Looks like you just drop it on, it pixelates it. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, these are kind of cool. I haven't played around with these a ton, but they seem to work okay. So another thing, if you have some cuts, let's do. And also, if you have a layer with effects and you do cuts on it, who knows what's going to happen. Now here's where the slowdown happens. I've done a few things. I've done like what, 4 or 5 things, and now when I do a cut, it just freezes. It just sits here. It's like trying to figure out how to process a cut. It just takes forever. It's like, come on. I just pressed cut. I just pressed Control K. You know, the same thing as right click, and I can't even right click anymore. It's just froze from doing a cut. So it'll do it from here on out. From now on, working with this project, it's going to be super slow on every little thing I do, and this is what really ruins the program actually. So say I want to zoom out. It's actually going kind of quick, a lot quicker than I would expect. Zoom in, that's not bad. All right, so say you want to make a cut and remove a piece of this. Now, it's got some little time frame there. I don't know, it's a little green dot. So apparently it's time framing or keyframing something here. I didn't try to keyframe anything. I don't know why it's keyframing something. Oh, it's the volume. It's keyframing the volume sound there. I don't know why. I didn't ask it to do that. It's just doing it. Maybe it's something that I don't know. So it just, some weird stuff happens sometimes that you would never expect and couldn't predict. That's just how this program works. But I want to show you how to cut. There's other cuts, so you can keep a side. So if I say keep right side, it's going to cut off the left side. And that's super nice. And a great time for a phone call, right when I'm in the middle of recording. Where was I? I don't know. Cutting. Okay. Oh yeah. So when you do a cut like that, you got to bring this over and it snaps back over. It's not too bad. So as you can see, this kind of works, and you can do some cool stuff. It's just got a few glitches. I've really been ragging on this program, but it's really not as bad as I make it sound. It's just you can't expect every little thing to work. Be sure to save often when you're using this program, because occasionally it does crash. And you can do that with this little save button right here, save project, and it'll prompt you and ask you where you want to save it. Yada yada. All right, so when you're ready to render, I guess I've gone over enough of this. I feel like it's getting a little long. But basically, when you're ready to render, you just hit this export video, and it's an automated thing where it renders from the beginning to the end. You don't put in your own keyframes or anything like that. You just press this button, give it a name. It's gonna set to your project name and give it a folder path. And this is kind of cool because you can do this 60 FPS. It's got a bunch of different profiles. I haven't tested all these. I've really only done this one profile that I'm showing here. It does render pretty quickly, so that's nice. It doesn't take as long as Blender, for example. And looks like it gives you the start and end frames, but it automatically sets these. I really haven't had to mess with these too much, but you can if you want to. Looks like it uses AAC audio and MP4 LiveX 264. So there's the bitrate quality too and everything. So you can mess with this if you need to, but I generally don't. And it seems okay. Your results may vary. All right. Well, I think I've talked enough about this program, and it's really not as bad as it sounds. I really ragged on it pretty hard just because it's annoyed me, but it has its uses. It's a bit user friendly. It's free. It's open source, so you can go fix things if you want or whatever. And well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for checking out a video on Code Tech and Tutorials. Let me know what you think about OpenShot. Let me know what you think about videos like this where I just kind of review software and talk about my experience with it. Peace out, guys. See you in the next one.